Good afternoon and welcome to another live stream. I'm so excited to be here with you, and today I'm trying out a new product and I'm really excited. I love art supplies if you haven't noticed. And today I'm using the Brushmarker PRO set. It's by Karin. So it says Karin on the side. Let me show you here. And so this set is watercolor brushes. So usually I work with Copic markers that are alcohol-based. These ones are water-based markers. So I'm very excited to try them out. I've never used these before, but I did a couple quick little sketches just on some watercolor paper. So I figured the character that really lends herself to watercolor is Harley. I haven't drawn her in a while, so I'm excited to do some Harley sketches here. I'm doing the Suicide Squad version with the blue and the pink because it, again, really lends itself to watercolor. Now, I also have some sheets of plain watercolor paper here, which is the stuff I sketched these on, for testing out the markers to see the color and figure it all out. Because, I've never used these before. I don't really know anything about them, but today we're going to figure it out. So, a couple people won some 12 marker sets of these Karin markers that were gifted to me by Marker Universe for the Christmas contest. So prize 11, 12, and 13 were a set of these markers so that people could use them for their art, which is very, very cool of Marker Universe. Aside from them giving the markers, this is not a sponsored post. I am just wanting to try them out for myself because they gave me a set for me too. So I'm really excited and we'll try it out. Snow, hello, Adam, Philip, and Jason. Welcome to the stream, you guys. Happy 2020. I hope you enjoyed your new year and did whatever it is you want to do. Hello, Tom. Happy New Year to you too. Mystic Faye, happy 2020. So exciting. This is my first live stream of 2020 and I hope to do at least 100 this year, at least. I barely made 100 this year. I did 110 in 2018, so I need to up my game a little bit. Let's see, I have coffee, I have water, I need to restock my paper towels, but I do have tissue, so that'll be fine for today. Go for at least 200. Wow. Okay, Tom. Hello, Levi. When you pick up your daughter at the airport. Oh, that's good. So she's coming home? All right, so before I get to painting and coloring, I want to test out the markers. I did watch some YouTube videos on how to use them, or how other people use them. And you can use them as watercolor in a little palette. So let's get my palette. So I'll either use them as watercolor in the palette, or I'm going to paint them directly on and mush them around with just a brush with water in it. So there's a few different ways that you can use these markers from what I've seen on YouTube, but let's test it out. She's with her mom for Christmas. Aw, that's sweet. Happy New Year, Wayne. Thank you so much for your email. I will get back to you ASAP. Have fun at the hockey game. I hope the team you're rooting for wins. Okay, there's cool gray, warm gray. Oh, well, that's so handy, because then I know. And this is a neutral gray. So cool gray is what I usually use for Harley's skin. So I'm glad that I can see that they have it, and I know that it is the bluish toned gray. Chicago! Jessamine, hello! Alright, so this is the cool gray, and now I'm going to try it with a brush and some water and see how much I can actually pull it. Okay, that's amazing. It doesn't leave too much of a line. You can actually blend with this. Let's see how far the water can pull it. Okay, so the water can really pull it quite well. Let's try mixing some pink in it. It can do that too. Actually, this is more like a Skin 200. That is, I don't know. Me and the marker companies, it seems, have a very different opinion of what skin color is. Kenneth, hello. Welcome to the stream and Happy New Year. Hey, River Dragon. Mike, welcome to the stream. Happy New Year to you too. All right, let's see this almond one. All right, so I'm just testing them out. Okay, it's not showing up on the screen. Well, there is not really much to see. Let's try a darker color so you guys can see it. So this is magenta red. So I'm really saturating the paper. And now I'm gonna mix it with some water. And if you get in there right away, you can use it exactly like you would with watercolor. And then you just keep adding more water where you want it to go lighter and lighter. So it's the same basic concept. If I had put down a brush stroke with some watercolor that I'd taken from my pans, for instance, and just keep adding water, you can get the same sort of gradation with regular water and watercolor, or you can use the markers. Same sort of concept, just using blue. Hello, Jason. Yes, it is a much cleaner option. It's probably easier to travel with as opposed to taking a ton of product with you, especially for people who have, who use the tubes and their tubes are rather large or whatever. This would work out very well. Okay, there's a black. This is a blender, so I suppose this can kind of work as using water as well. I have to ship the tubes? What do you mean? All right, let's see what other colors. So I have a bunch in here, but I think I understand the tones that I have available to me, and I'm gonna just make sure I've chosen the right colors, and then I'm gonna get to work. What color is this? Rosewood. I'm trying to find a good blonde hair tone here because I don't like using actual yellow. That would probably work as a beige, or I could water down some sepia. I think that you can take these on the plane. I've taken Copic marker with me on the plane before. But I guess with these ones, you can actually see the liquid. So as long as the cumulative liquid amount, it doesn't exceed your carry-on allowance, which is like, I can't remember how many liters or how much of a liter. But yeah, I think that you can take it with you. You just can't exceed your allowance. Oh, I see, Jessamine. Yes, these would be good. So I'm just getting to know the rest of the colors. And it does come with a blender brush. Now, I feel like I need to watch a few more YouTube videos in order to see, like, once you get this particular blending nib dirty with pink and then you go to try to use a green, are you gonna get pink in the green? Like, that scares me a little bit. This is a good Harley eye color. My brush is dirty. But yes, so I can do very nice eye colors. Certainly watercolor is easier to blend than Copic marker. So for something like this, I think that it would work really well for travel. It would work really well for, let's see, what else? For travel, for someone who's maybe a little uncomfortable with watercolor and hasn't really gotten to the full comfort zone of it, which I probably am still in that range. So if I wasn't really into getting like a full watercolor set, and if you want the higher end ones that, you know, have light fastness, meaning that they're not going to fade when they're up in your room, but you still like the watercolor look, I can see these as being very handy to have. So now I'm going to try mixing a color. So I like this red, but I feel like it needs a little bit more magenta in it. So I'm going to try doing this in a palette. And a lot of times when I'm working with watercolor itself, I end up taking way more than I need to of a color. Yeah, so then you can mix the colors, just put them side by side, blend them together with your brush, and then you can apply it onto the paint, or onto the paper. So that's really handy. All right, let's get to some painting. Sherlock is doing better. We're carrying him around. So he's not supposed to jump off of counters and couches, and he is not supposed to go downstairs. So we are carrying him from place to place. And I don't think he enjoys being carried that much all the time, to where we'll like stop him if he looks like he needs to go downstairs and pick him up and carry him. He does want to be put down, and he's a little like, what the fuck is happening right now? But yeah, he's doing much better, thankfully. Okay, so I don't really know if this is right or wrong, but on the pad of paper that I was using, this is the front side of the paper and it's got a lot of texture. This is the back side of the paper. It has less texture. I don't think you guys can see it on the screen here. I personally far prefer less texture. But I did one of each just to see how it takes with the paper, and because I didn't realize that the underside was smoother when I sketched this one. I agree, Chicago. Well, I'll give that a shot. So I did rough sketches on a piece of paper. From my experience and from what I've been reading about watercolor paper, it's not very easy to sketch on straight up. Usually for a piece this size, I would sketch it on here. You guys have seen me do it before. I'll do my rough sketch and then go to inking and coloring afterwards. And I do it all on the same piece of paper for a smaller sketch like this. However, watercolor paper is not very good for erasing. So I drew it on just a piece of printer paper and got it to a basic size that I wanted. So I'm just really going to be drawing in her face. And the rest is just going to be handled by splatter and watercolor. And then the same thing on the other side for the other piece. And I'm just doing 2 Harleys. So yeah, these are the 2 that I'm gonna do, and here's so you can actually see the sketch a little bit better. I drew it on separate paper because watercolor paper is not very kind to erasing, moving away all the sketch lines and, you know, measurement lines and all that. You really can't get a good erase out of the paper, so I did it on a sketch page. The thing is Sherlock is only 3, so he's not supposed to be doing this yet. And he's sleeping in here right now, so I'm gonna need to keep an eye out on him if he wants to leave at any point. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start with gray, and I'm gonna use the cool gray. Yeah, lazy for sure. But I think what it is he has a soft tissue injury. He probably jumped too hard down from something, which Sherlock does all the time. And when he lands, you can hear him throughout the entire house. He is a fail of a cat when it comes to landing softly, like I thought cats were supposed to do. So, of course, maybe it's just because he needs to go on a diet, so it might have something to do with that. So he is on a diet. But yes, he definitely needs to learn to land softly, and until he does, we're carrying him. Yes, exactly. M. Winters, thank you so much for the follow. All right. So what I'm going to do so that I can create a smooth gradient and a nice watercolor on her face, I'm going to try applying the brush right on the edge and then sweeping the color into her face. Because it's considerably darker than I want or need. But if I can do it like this and just pull the color into her face where I need it, that might work out rather well. So I'm going to basically pretend that the light is coming from this side, and then over on this other side is where all the shadows would be happening. Soul. Kenny, Happy New Year. So I'm trying out Karin Brushmarkers, and I'm just giving them a shot. I'm seeing how they work. I've never used these before, so these are watercolor markers. And the watercolor is in the marker, which then you mix it with water. So what I'm going to do for her blush is I just put a little bit of pink on my palette right here, and I've mixed it with some water, and I'm just going to try putting that on her cheek and blending it out a little bit. And let's get a little bit more for the other side. And this is a good pink color. That's a little bit more saturated than I wanted it to be. But it's a good color for Harley's skin tone because she has very cool skin tones, but then she does have blush that she wears. He's after my cactus. He is up on a very high shelf to keep Sherlock from eating him. So a lot of her appeal for me when it comes to this version of Harley is the bright, crazy, almost watercolor looking, drippy eye makeup. Now I'm going to darken the screen a little bit because it's a little bit too light, so you guys aren't really able to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to fix this a little bit. See if I can take the brightness down a little bit. There. At least you can see it a little bit more. Okay. Let's get a little bit of blue going on in here. Now I'm finding this to be really handy, and it's helping so much in the conserving of watercolor. Now watercolor, it's just so easy to put down in your palette way more than you need. So at first it might be like, well, you know, why buy these markers? And I'm not trying to sell them to you. I'm just thinking for myself. Why buy these markers if I can just use watercolor things that I have? I end up squeezing way too much when I'm using a tube. I squeeze way too much for what I need. Whereas this is probably exactly the amount that I need for her eyes and no more. And so they're gonna last a lot longer than my traditional watercolors because I'm not applying more than I need on my palette, which is pretty cool. It's possible. Well, Philip, what I'm going to do is when I'm done with these, I will give them to Dan. He'll decide what's happening with them, but my guess is that they'll actually be offered to whoever wants them on the email list. So for anyone on here that isn't on my email list, please subscribe. I'll put the thingy. There we go. So you can join my email list, and that will be a much easier way for you to get a hold of sketches. I also have some original art I need to put on in the email, on my website. So there'll be some more updates coming soon. All right, the blue decided to take a little vacation trip down her face, which I don't remember if this is the actual blue side, so I kind of lightened it up a little bit. All right, so for her lips, I'm gonna try mixing a few colors together. Let's try magenta red here. Ooh, that is a good color. That might actually be all I need. So I added a little bit onto the palette, and I'm just gonna do this. And then I'm gonna go straight with the marker where I need to, where it needs to be more saturated or something, because her lips are supposed to be quite red. Oh, you're such a sweetheart, Mr. E. Well, I will be offering all of those to the email list first. That is my promise. Email list gets first dibs on commissions, sketches, original art, all of those good things. So right now she still looks kind of sweet and innocent, but I'm going to add a lot of dark around her eyes to give her a real naughty, sinister look, and then this smile will no longer look sweet, it'll look naughty and sneaky. That's what I'm trying to go for. Aw, thank you, Mr. E. All right, so now I'm going to take this magenta red again and I'm going to apply it directly onto her lips. So I'm kind of trying to do both here. My comfort zone, because I know it, is to work from a palette. I don't want to be on here showing you guys how to use these markers and I use them exactly like I would normal watercolor. I want to do a mix of both. So let's see how this goes. Oh, thank you, Philip. That means so, so, so much. True, sweet and innocent can be its own. That's true, Chicago. So it's still a little bit damp, which is good. I'm kind of going to use the water to the dampness where it is damp to kind of pull the marker and start the blending for me, which is kind of handy actually. So I put down one layer of this watercolor stuff from the palette pre-mixed with water. Here I put it directly onto her lips, but on damp paper because I had already applied the first pass. And that actually worked out rather nicely because it's staying in the border of what is damp. And that's something that's super cool about watercolor. And this is a really good red. I hadn't discovered this magenta red when I was doing the color testing. But it's the perfect lip tone color. All right, I think a certain kitty cat wants to go, so I'm gonna just let Sherlock out. You wanna go? Are you all done? Yes. Gonna say hi to everybody first. I think everybody would very much like to see you. Yes. Let's say hello. All right, Sherlock's gonna say hi and wish you all a Happy New Year. Say Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year. Yes, okay, you want to go. He doesn't like the lights. Okay, I'm back. Oh, Philip did the Sherlock Moobot. Yay! And I need to update the print of the month on Moobot. But for anyone who hasn't seen yet, Angela is the print of the month for January 2020. And it's one of my most requested prints of this whole year. So that was the prize number 1 from 2018. And the person requested Angela. So now she's available for you guys if you would like a copy. And you can get that by going to dawnmcteague.com, and Angela's right there. And I have, yeah, you notice that Dan did that. He put it in the thing. That was Dan's idea. Anyway, you can get the print on my website. It's only available for this month, and then it's gone. Thank you, Philip. Desiree, welcome to the stream today and happy 2020. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit more cool gray, and I'm going to do I'm gonna do a little bit more of a brush with the palette, with my palette here, because I want to darken some of the lines, but I don't want to go too far here. But I need to darken, say, around her nose. And do the first pass on her eyebrows. The Merc, good evening and welcome to today's stream. I am testing out Karin watercolor brush markers. And I've never used these before, but I'm giving them a shot, and so far they're very cool. All right, I'm gonna look up my Harley art that I've done. So I've done 2 covers for DC with Harley, well, variant covers for DC with Harley on the cover in this outfit. So I'm just gonna check what I did. Okay, Justice League versus Suicide Squad. Blue on this side, pink on that side. And then some people do, you know, crisscross of blue and pink. I don't think that there's like an aggressively standard way that you're gonna do it, or that you have to do it. But I guess I'll stick to that. Do blue in the front here, which is great. It'll be offset by the pink, and then pink is on this side. But I've got a lot of pink cheek right here, so I'll be happy to get that offset. Your internet stops every 3 seconds. If anything was said about YouTube. No. I just said at the beginning of the video that I did watch some YouTube tutorials to figure out how to do these markers and what to do with them. But other than that, I haven't really said anything. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the lightest blue, and I'm gonna work all the way up to some of the darker ones, and then I'm gonna add black onto her eyes. But for now, I'm going to start with blue. And this is Arctic blue. Good for you, the Merc. Okay, I want it to look not perfectly blended, almost kind of splotchy. I mean, it's running down her face, so it's got to look a little bit rougher and messed up. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to this really dark, brilliant blue, and once that's dried a little bit, I'm going to add some dark blue into it and then black on top of that. So when I'm doing a piece with the Suicide Squad Harley, I will always go from a light blue to a darker blue and then almost such an intense blue that it's almost black, and then kind of layer it on top of her face. In my figuring or my thought process is that the lighter blue and all of that would be underneath, and then, you know, the more intense colors would be closer into her eye, and that helps her eye really pop too. Especially because Harley has extremely light blue eyes. I am leaving, it's the same Arctic blue marker that I used, but I just really watered it down here on her eyes, and then I'm using a little bit more of an intense one here. And for Harley's face in this particular version, whenever I do a piece or a cover of her, I use about 3 shades of each color. Good evening, David. Okay. So this is still a little bit wet. So I think I'm actually gonna move on to the pink side for a second. Let's see what this color looks like. I'm gonna give it a shot. Yeah, that's a decent pink actually. All right, so I'm gonna use this one. It's called Cerise. So this is a little bit of a darker pink than I would normally start with. But it's what I have, so I'm gonna just go ahead and use it and probably just layer this color on top of itself a few times. Good evening, Eric. Welcome to the stream today. I am working on testing out some new markers, and I am testing them with just some quick head sketches of Harley Quinn because these are watercolor markers, and I feel that the Suicide Squad version of Harley Quinn really lends itself to watercolor play. No, for sure, David. No one's expecting you to catch up on the streams at all, especially not me. Okay, so that blue marker that I had put down, it dried, but I just added a little bit of water and it reactivated no problem. And let's see if it's ready enough for me to start putting some more layers on. So the paper is still a little bit damp. So it is starting to feather around the edges, but you know what? That's perfect because I don't want this to be perfect in its finished look. I want it to have those rough feathered edges, so I'm actually quite happy about that. Hello, Juan. Welcome to the stream today. right, I forgot to film this. I would like to get a time-lapse video of the process of coloring this particular piece. So, hold please. All right, filming is on. Okay, so I want a little bit more of this baby blue in there. So it's Arctic blue is what it's called. So I'm just adding a bit more Arctic blue. I feel like it's got a bit more of the brilliance that I want. It's some really light, bright tones. I'm just gonna pull some of it down into the streaks that I gave. But I just want these streaks to be a little bit stronger and brighter. And I'm just going to pull a little bit of that blue into the outside of her eye. Make it a little bit brighter and darker in a couple spots. There we go. And then I'll be adding black on top of this before the end. Okay, and on this side it's probably a little bit more dried, so I'm going to add a little bit more marker on there. And I'm going to pull a couple little pieces down so that I've got the color already sort of setting where I want it to be. Rinsing out my brush. And pulling down the color. And I'm gonna add a little bit more Arctic blue here and a little bit more royal blue so that I can mix that in with her her eye on the other side. I kind of rinsed off my brush and forgot that I needed to put that on the other side. Okay, I'm just going to mix these two colors together. Okay, and I don't want warm gray. I'm going to get cool gray again. So I'll probably go over this area with straight marker once all is said and done. But for now, I'm just going with it painted in here, and then I'll add some stronger, intense color onto there in a second, onto her eyebrows. Oh, they did a bookmark? Which Kickstarter are you talking about right now, Mystery? I want to see if I can blend this a little bit more. Okay, so that's very interesting. I'd say that these markers and the watercolor that they give is easier to work with than, say, the Schmincke ones that I have. The Schmincke colors are so pigmented that they don't really pick up when you go to add another color, which is really great for me because I layer on the tones and I do a lot of glazing and stuff like that. But it can be a little bit complicated if you're trying to fix something, because it really, once it's down, it's down. So, you know, there's pros and cons to that. Schmincke's are a little harder to work with because you can't erase with water like you can with these ones. These ones, I'd say, are a lot easier to work with, especially if you're just getting started. It's posted in Boop Squad. Oh, I'll go take a look. Welcome to the stream. Desiree, yes, it's coffee mixed with hot chocolate today. I'm being a little bit of a stink, but we got these flavored hot chocolate packets from Costco for Christmas and they're so yummy. Oh, thank you, Kylie. Today I am trying out the Karin markers. So it's a new one for me. I've never used these before. So far, so good though. Fingers crossed. So I guess I would say that due to the nature of these markers and the fact that they do come up when you add more color, I'm a little nervous about her hair now, because I was planning to kind of go a little bit crazy with her hair color and really splatter it up and stuff. But if that's going to kind of ruin her her face, that's not going to be fun. So I'm a little concerned, but we'll see how it goes. It is really nice though. You can color with the marker and then blend with water. It's almost like those coloring books. I don't know if any of you guys got these when you were kids, but you'd add water and it would suddenly become color. That's kind of what it's like. Okay, now I'm going to use the cool gray marker. You love them? Yeah. And I'm going to just add a little bit of a darker tone for her eyebrows. So I'm just using the cool gray marker that I've been using for the color of her face and stuff, and I'm just using it straight. Okay, and I think her lips are dry, so I'm gonna use this kind of as, let's give this a shot anyway. I'm gonna see about using it a little bit just like ink. No, that's too dark. And it's too fat of a brush, so I don't like that. And it's spreading. I'm just gonna blend it out a little bit, kind of make that look like it was intentional. Make it a little bit darker in there. And when that dries, I'm gonna go in and put actual ink lines. Hello, Tangatron. So I don't know if you guys can see this close up, but it's kind of feathered into these patterns, and I quite like it. So that's fun. And these colors are very pigmented and super bright. So that's another plus to these markers. Now I don't know if the Copic pens will work with this watercolor, but they generally do. So we're just going to wing it. Where's number 2? Come on. Ah. Where the hell? I'm missing some of my pens, I swear to God. You're the best, Juan. I can't wait to see. I am, Kylie, you're so right. Damn it. I'm so sorry. All right, so that still needs to dry a little bit more, and then I can put my lines down. No, I do not want the brush marker. I'm missing one of my Copic pens, and that really blows. I don't know where it is. You sent me mass messages. I better go check. All right, now it's pretty much time to color her hair. So I'm going to sketch out the hair a little tiny bit here. So my plan is that here's her head, her ear, and I want her to like kind of go to town on her hair. It's really just going to be splatter all over there. And then the same thing on this side is just more splatters and mess. So I'm going to have to do maybe the pink side first and then the blue side afterwards, and wait until they've dried so they don't mix. There we go. Eye number 1 is pretty much done. Oh, yay, Kylie, that's awesome. Okay, and let's get eye number 2 done. Now, as far as my experience, these Copic pens work fine with watercolor. Now, I haven't tried them on this paper though, so I'm kind of hoping that they will work. Oh, no can do, no can say. I probably shouldn't have even said that, but oh well. I wanted you guys to kind of know some of the plans for the year. But I cannot spill. All right. I don't really have a color in here that I feel is a slam dunk blonde tone, but I do have this rosewood and almond, so I think I'm gonna try these two. No. So again, I'm gonna have to let the blonde dry. I'm gonna have to let her blonde hair dry and then add the blue and the pinks, or we're gonna end up with green hair, and that is not a pretty sight. For Harley, nothing against anyone with green hair. I realized how that sounded as soon as the words came out of my mouth. You knew someone named Almond Rosewood? And as usual, watercolor paper is terrible for erasing. You just gotta be perfect out the gate every time in order for watercolor to actually, in order to sketch directly on watercolor. Okay, so I'm gonna have a strand going down her face. I may have to switch to some acrylic for that, or something else, I don't know. Okay, these markers pull Copic pen. That's a good one to know. And that's not a good sign for me. Is it, Dan? All right, let's see if the water pulls the pen too. I just need to be careful back here. All right, I'm using a bit more almond over here. And then something else I want to try is how these pens work painting over a wet surface. Because you know how some markers are, if you go over water, say if you have like a damp piece of paper and you try to ink with like an inking pen, they won't work. So I'm testing these on wet. I can't say that they give off a bunch of ink, but I guess they give off some. Hello, Fox. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry. I need to put a strip here and a strip there. So while I'm waiting for some of these portions to dry, what else should I do? I'm gonna do 500 kettlebell swings a week and 1 or 2 arm days a week. And because at the end of the year I need to have something like 25,000 kettlebell swings in or something like that. I am not consistent in my exercise. So, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, dry, 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 dry. I'll do some white while I'm waiting. Yeah, I'll probably do like 200 3 times a week, or yeah, so that's less than I even need to do. So that's like the very least I can get away with. I usually try to do 200 3 times a week and then 2 arm days. The thing is if I'm in a deadline, exercise goes out the window because I feel like I can't stop. I have to meet my deadline. So that's on me. I really need to do better with consistency. I don't know if anybody else has that. You started reading nonfiction. Oh, that's cool. All right. I've been fighting quite a few lately, Philip. But I started my first treatment of this new thing that I need to do. So we'll see how it goes. Now, I need to water this down way more. This is a very brilliant blue. It's too strong to do in her hair. So I'm going to water them both down quite a bit. Ooh, is someone going to join me on the kettlebell challenge? That's awesome. 500 a week. It's really not that hard if you are consistent. Because, like, this is my whole thing right now. Lately, I'm really into exercises that are high intensity and hardly any time. So I'm on an email subscription list for someone called PD Mangan. PDMangan. And he has scientific reasons why he chooses all of these things and why he says them. And you know what? To each their own. I really like his opinion, so I listen to his opinion. And he says that if you have high intensity, you really don't have to work out. Now, this is not to make your body the way you want it to look or to lose tons of weight, or no, even he says that you can. But honestly, it's not to like look like a fitness model. It's to not have problems from lack of exercise, basically. So for health, his opinion is that you don't need to work out more than an hour a week. I love that theory. So that's what I'm doing. One hour a week. So I might have to layer it. This is a little bit more complicated for me than just working with watercolor, because I can't really get the look that I'm trying to get this way. But it's still, it's definitely worth trying out. So let's get a bit more pink on here. So I'm trying to get a bit more saturation going on. Hey, Pat Draws. Oh, thank you, Philip. Oh my God, you guys. I'm very sorry for having started spilling beans. I can spill no more. Excuse me. All right, so hopefully this is gonna mix without really becoming an ugly green mess. Okay, that's good enough. Now I'm gonna start filling in some of the blue down at the bottom here. Hello, Justin. Hello, Swamp Thunder. Okay, so I need the cerise to dry a little bit more, and then I want to start putting some splatters and stuff. I might have to switch to some of my watercolors to finish off the look that I was going for. That's so sweet of you, Kylie. Yep. Thank you so much, Justin Hunt. Is it Justin? Yeah, it's Justin Hunt. The C in the middle, the center is your middle name, right? I don't want to be calling you Chunt if that's incorrect. Hunt. Okay. Thank you, Justin. Okay, I don't have a pink that will work, so I'm just gonna have to deal with this. KT Designs, thank you so much for the host. You guys are counting my blinks right now? Sneaky. I am blinking to see. I do regret it quite a bit. You got it, the Merc. All right, so once this dries a little bit more, I'm gonna put a bit more color in her hair. And whoops, the blue started to spread. Red the Epic, thank you so much for the follow. Oh, and Yamil and Iris, thank you as well. I swear I am not spilling any more beans. I regret having spilled the first few. I don't want to screw something up there. All right, so now I'm just adding a little bit of pen on top of the color that I put in, just to give some, I don't know, some directional lines and some clarity in the mess of hair that she's got. I think that there should be another one right around here, because I did intend for her hair to be coming in the front like that. So I might paint some of that in. Okay, you're just kidding. I'm not gonna get in trouble. Thank you guys. Let's make it a little bit cotton candy up here. Kadiro, hello, welcome to the stream. Let me see if this almond color Yes, some new art tools. I'm trying out Karin Brushmarkers today. So I'm trying out the two different ways that I've seen that you can work with them, which is you put the brush directly on the paper and you add water, or you can also add the brush into your palette and that creates an actual watercolor that then you can use. So I think that this one is finished. I'd like to put a little bit more white and stuff in it, but I have to wait until it dries. Let's see if I can use my white, Copic Opaque White. I think I have it here somewhere. Here we go. No, it's this guy. All right. So I'm gonna use some Copic Opaque White to add some highlights in places where I feel it needs it. Ryan, hello! All right, so this just comes in a little tub with a brush, and I wanna get some highlights in a couple places. Oops, that one went off way more to the side than I wanted it to. So I'm gonna need to fix that up. Let me get an ink pen. So I'm just gonna use my ink pen to fix that up. Thank you, Chicago. Happy 2020, Ryan! To you and Shannon. Breathe a lot, drink water, and eat delicious food. That's a good one. Okay, so I want to pull her little bangs into the foreground a little bit. So in order to do that, I'm going to paint in just some bright highlights into her hair. So this stuff is kind of dry for this paper, it seems, so it's really showing up the texture. Perhaps I should have just used white acrylic, but I wanted to try with the Copic Opaque White. I haven't used it in a long time, and I thought it would be a good thing to try. This thing just loves to be sticky. It's just getting stuff everywhere. All right, one last little application here. Ooh, that's actually kind of cool. It's mixing with the watercolor. I didn't realize that this was still wet. And it's actually much better like that. Woot! Okay, I think that that's about as far as I can go on this one, and I'm just gonna need to leave it for now. Maybe I'll do one tiny little bit more right here. There we go. Okay, so this one is done. And I have enough time to do one more. So we'll try out some more techniques and try it out with the next one. So I'm just gonna turn this so it can get a better view of it. You're messing up your leather cat, girl? Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay, so this I will probably do a couple little touch-ups on it, and then I will make it available to my email subscribers. Whoop whoop! That is the first time I have tried these Karin Brushmarker Pros, and I'm gonna try them one more time. I have another sketch. I just did a quick head sketch of Harley. And this one's a little bit more of a happy one. So I'm gonna do this one next. And again, working with the same markers and hopefully trying out a few other things. I'm sorry, Kylie. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Sign up to my email list and you can get it through there. Okay, so for this one, I wanted to do sort of a happy, fun Harley. And this is on the smoother side of the paper. So I'm really happy with the smoother side. I'm not really one for super heavily textured paper. Some people really are, and it's just a personal preference thing. So I'm using the other side of the paper. I don't know if that's kind of a no-no in watercolor, but you know, what doesn't, what you don't know can't kill you, right? Oh yeah, I could do the red and black. That would be fun. So I want her looking off to the side. Hello, Steve. Hello, Arturia. Yeah, they're kind of tricky, Ryan. I'm finding them difficult, but I just need to get the hang of it, right? I'm used to I am barely used to watercoloring, period. So, it's tricky all across the board, but at least I have a little bit more experience with regular watercolor. But they probably are good for travel, easy to work with as far as things like that, and for people that are just getting started with watercolor. I can see them being a little bit easier as a starting point. I'm just not really used to the method yet. Okay, this one is still blending out a little bit over here. It needs a little bit more of the straight marker because now it's just this big pink blob. So I'm gonna need to let that dry and then I can fix that. Hello, Sata. Okay. So I need to decide which version of Harley I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna see what I have a Harley version that I think is kind of what Kylie prefers, so let's give that one a shot. From the Harley and Ivy that I did together. And that one was black and red. Okay. There we go. Black and red, Harley and Ivy together. I have a commission that I did, so I'm referencing the sketch for color correctness. White Rabbit Art, thank you so much for the follow. Oh, and Dorian, did I already thank you? If I didn't, I'm sorry, and welcome to the stream. That's your favorite print? Woo! She has 3 bells. This is the black side, red hair. Whoa, that's awesome. Couldn't have worked out better. I'm super happy about that. So her hair will be red coming down the side, and her hair is rather long in this one. The black side is here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put in that ponytail. So this is the black side. She has those little jingle bell thingies. I'm just gonna guess that there's one in the back too. I'm not entirely sure, but we're just gonna figure that there is. Okay. And I've just kind of got her leaning in some weird way. I have no reason for what I did, but it just was kind of fun. And then this side, hair can come down like that. She's got a star right here. On her shirt. And I'm trying to see what her gloves are like. Okay, so she has long gloves. Like up to about here, I think. And then her shirt comes around like so. And the picture just kind of goes off the page. We won't know. All right, so there it is. And this one's gonna be tricky. It's gonna be kind of hard, but at the same time, I am trying to test out these markers in all different scenarios. So a different color scheme is perfect. Thank you, Kylie. Actually, I think that her thing would come down like that. So that was up too high. Fixie fix. Okay, so this one is Harley, and I'm gonna do, I think it's the Harley's Little Black Book version of Harley. So I'm just gonna put notes here so I don't forget. This is the red hair side, this is the black hair side. There we go. All right. Oh, thank you, Kylie. Whoop, whoop. All right, so I'm gonna time lapse this one as well. At this point, my impression of them is that they are great for travel, and they actually work really well, I'd say, for someone who wants to start with watercolor or use watercolor sometimes and doesn't necessarily want to invest in a full watercolor set. You can mix with these. You can do some watercolor with them. I would say that my splatter, extremely saturated paper style that I generally like to do, I can't do as much with these, but a very like wet on dry technique with them would work really well. They are great for getting started with, and they are easier to work with than some more artist level watercolors. So something that's extremely highly pigmented is a little harder to work with because you can't take it, you can't erase it. You can't use water to kind of fix something once it's dried. It doesn't really work very well. Okay, starting time lapse. All right, let's get this Harley done. If I can hopefully remember what colors I used. All right, so I used cool gray of the brush markers for her face, and I'm gonna do that again. And what I did is this is cool gray, yes? Okay. So I did an outline of her face with the cool grays, and then I blended it out. So these are easier to work with than Copic markers, for sure, because blending them is far simpler than it is with Copic marker. They seem to, you can still work with them even after they've dried, which is immensely easier than Copic marker, where you are working against the clock and just speeding as fast as you can to keep them from drying. Whereas these ones, you can keep mixing them for a while. So see, I'm pulling the gray into her face. And I'm just blending as I go with plain water. Is this creating a shadow? It is. Bummer. Hello, Gabriel. How are the tips on these? They're very sharp. So they work very, very well. They're quite sharp. The color that comes out of them is quite strong. So you don't want to go too far too fast. Look, I just barely touched it, and it the water grabbed it and pulled some of the brush color out, which is great for blending because then you can just add a little dot and keep going. So, you know, they really do have some pluses to working with these for shading. And for some of these places that I want to be a little bit more delicate, I'm going to put it on my palette and I'm going to work from here. I want a little bit more control over how much color is coming out. And I'm going to use a Q-tip that I've wet, and I'm going to clean some of this up. What is creating the shadow? Okay, so I'm going to try doing a little bit of erasing to just clean up a couple little things. Okay. Now, once that dries, I'm going to try adding in some pink onto her skin. For now, while I've got the grays out, I'm going to add some gray into her eye. A little bit of water, add some gray over here. So I think I screwed up with one thing here. Well, I probably screwed up with more things, but I was using the underside or the smoother side of the watercolor paper. I don't know if it was intended for art use. So I'm noticing some more difficulty with blending on this side of the paper than I did when I did it with the Harley, because it was on the more textured side of the page. So I think I may have just made my life a little bit harder on myself by trying to use the more smooth side of the paper. But I'm not entirely sure. I could be imagining it. So I'm letting her face dry while I work on the rest for a little bit. So yeah, I'd say that these, the tips, Mr. E, are very much like a brush pen that is sold for inking. Actually, I feel like it's a better brush tip than many. And it's got a sharper point than, say, the Copic markers do. So you have a considerable amount more control. And some brush nibs are just, they have a good point, but they're way too flexible and bendy. And I do brushed line inking all the time, and yet I still find brush pens for inking extremely frustrating and difficult to work with. Whereas these ones, I was able to get a much more controlled, clean line. I'm gonna leave a good highlight right there on her shoulder. I'd say if I hadn't gotten into watercolor already, I would be really way more interested in these because they're a great starting point. And I'm going to take them with me to shows. So like for conventions, I'm going to probably use them there. For my actual work, I've already like spent like $1,000 or more on my watercolor setup. So I don't really need them for that, but I will take them for convention travel work, because they are really good for travel. Okay, I'm getting the hang of it more. This was really easy to do. So bear in mind, all of my opinions right now are first-time user. I do not have the hang of them yet. I'm already finding that was way easier to do than any other thing I've experienced as far as blending. So it's interesting how this is all playing out, but that was really freaking easy. I love it. All right, I'm gonna be using magenta red for her lips. I need to make sure this is dry. It's not fully dry yet, so I'm gonna give it a minute still. Thank you, Miss Grayson. All right, so I'm gonna just do a little bit more gray. I'm gonna do the little baubles that she has. I think they're little bells, and I forgot to do her neck back here. If I go over this bell back here with red, it won't show up, so I'm fine to go ahead and paint it in. And let's see. I'm gonna put a few darker spots. Okay, it's starting to bleed into her skin. I don't want that. Shoot. Maybe I went too fast. Mucho bummer. I'm going to try to leave a little bit of a halo around. Okay, let's see if this is dry now. Not dry enough. All right, this blending right here worked out really well. So I feel like there is a lot of ease of use going for these markers. Okay, since I think this is dry enough down here for me to add the red, I'm gonna add magenta red for her glove. So this glove on this side is red. So let's go ahead and add that in and hope for the best here. Now I'm getting my brush wet and I'm going to pull it into the center to kind of make a smooth gradient between the white highlight and the red. So I might need to go over the red one more time in a few spots. And then I'm just going to fade that out a little bit so her arm is kind of going off into we don't know. So I'm going to add another batch of red, another swipe of red right over the darkest part right there. Just need to erase that. Bummer. There we go. All right, so I need to add another swipe of red right there, and I'll do that once this has dried. But for now, that's a nice bright pop of red in there. It's gonna be black here, red star, black suit. So I'm gonna erase my line art right there. And I'm gonna get that star in there too, because that's not actually touching anything. So again, I'm going to fill it in with marker and then add some water for the highlights and shadows. So this is actually going pretty quick and easy. And the thing that's way handy about it is, of course, we're all, for the most part, I'd say everyone is far more used to using brushes, markers and pens, as opposed to brushes. Brushes take a while to learn how to control. So being able to add a lot of your watercolor in the ways that you want control and need control, doing it with a brush, with a marker is so much easier. So look at that. That went so quickly. So in those ways, man, these are handy. Very, very, very handy. So I'm leaving it, I'm adding this in while it's still kind of wet so that it's going to fade in all on its own, and I honestly don't even have to do any blending myself. Because the paper is still damp, it's just taking care of feathering out the edges for me. It's fantastic. Okay, she has a little bit of a red outline on the outside of her shirt, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the red right now, and then the black I'll put in after it's dried. So there's a red line there. We'd see a little bit of a red line right here. Perfect. Okay, and I think that this is dry, so I'm gonna put in her red and black her lips, her eyeshadow, all of those things are red and black. So, I think though, to be safe, I'm going to do the blue of her eyes first. So, let's get that in there. So I'm just going to color in a few little spots and then I'll blend it with water. I'm just getting my brush wet. Okay. Yeah, they are very handy. The first one I did, I didn't quite have the hang of them. Now I'm getting it, and it's easy and so much easier than working with Copic. It's so much easier, especially when you're getting started. These entry level, so much simpler. Even as far as the expense of getting yourself a good watercolor set, it's also it's expensive for sure. And then you've got the water and everything you have to carry around. Technically, they do have a blending pen. I just don't necessarily know how to use it, so I haven't tried that yet. Yeah, it is a big time saver. Yes, that's so true, Chicago. It's the perfect middle ground. Okay, so I'm using this magenta red again. I think that her face is dry enough, and I think that that's dry enough for me to put my hand on. So, lip color. Let's do this. So I'm going to do the top lip first, and I'm just going to blend that out real quick. And then I'll do the bottom lip second. Ah, I got paint over there, so I'm going to have to do some cleanup. That's interesting, Juan. All right, I realized that there's a slight flaw in my plan. If I were to start coloring in the lower lip, all the shading that I put in, it would bleed. So I'm going to go on to eye color now. That should be dry enough. Okay, and I'm going to get some watercolor on it now and just blend out some of the red. So this is very saturated, so I need to dry out the brush so that I'm not pulling too much red. Okay, now see if that's dry. No, it is not dry. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that for a little bit longer and let's try the black. Ooh, scary. I haven't used this black yet. I might start with some cool gray first to just ease myself into this. All right, so again, I'm going to be following the outline of her eye, because this eye is black and the other eye is red. There we go. Same thing, I'm gonna blend it out real quick. Devin, hello, welcome to the stream. So I'm blending out the gray. I've got a little bit more leeway with the gray because it's not quite as heavily pigmented as that red is. I mean, there's not really a ton of pulling that down and blending it into the face that I can do. But the gray, I was able to start a little bit simpler, and that's nice. Let me see if I can blend that a little bit softer. So I'm going to be adding black on top of that too. All right, she's freaking me out without her eyebrows. So I'm going to do eyebrows right now. I'm using cool gray. Okay, and you know what I would like? I'd like to have red in the background, so that will work out really nice. I'm gonna put some red in there, and the black will go on top of the red so I can get away with it. But I just wanna put some background in. New year, new Harley, no brows. Yeah, right? It was freaking me out. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna try this out, see how it works. To just add some random little bits of color here. All this is going to be covered with black, so I don't have to worry about that. I just want to get some color going on. Get a little bit more red right up in here. And then maybe I'll put some black over on this side. Okay. Next, I'm going to add some more cool gray, and then we're going to try this black marker. Oh, thank you, Mr. E. Fingers crossed that it all works. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of black here. And there's going to be black on the red side too. So it's not the cleanest ink job I've done, but I'm not really inking it. I'm going to go ahead and blend it out with water. I don't think you have to stay up, Kylie. I'm not gonna send it like tonight or anything, don't worry. Okay, moment of truth. Scary, scary. All right, so this black is very heavily pigmented and very saturated. So I'm actually going to, instead of blending it out, I'm gonna kind of blend into it with a Q-tip. And just kind of almost dry smudge. Phew, okay, that kind of worked. Thank God. So I'm smudging it with a Q-tip. Let's try a damp Q-tip for a little bit. And then any parts where I'm kind of going in the lines, I will, I'll use some whiteout if need be. All right, so I can use a little bit more black on this side. Fire hydrant. Hello, Juan. Okay, here we go. We're gonna try again the dry Q-tip side, and just do some smudging. Good. All right. So that's kind of what I wanted. I wish I had thought of the dry Q-tip thing when I was doing the red. Let me see. Okay, this could be a very bad idea, but let's give it a shot. I'm gonna mix some red. Right up in there. And see if I can mix it out. No, it's just looking black. Okay, so I will add some red onto that with colored pencil. All right, so now I'm gonna blend that with a wet brush to just give her a little bit of a softer glossy lip, because that's a little bit aggressive. I am having so much fun applying makeup tonight. It's my favorite. And I've never managed to find a way to do like a dry Q-tip smudge. I mean, how cool is that? I'm sorry, I'm having too much fun. But yes, this is so much easier than some of the more traditional ways that I have been doing watercolor or commissions in general. So it's great. Now here, maybe I'm just gonna do some splatters in the back. Here, I can leave this because I'm gonna do black hair. But on this side, the red on red might not really work. You notice that I'm having fun? Okay, so takeaway from what I've done so far right now is the black is extremely intense, which is good. I mean, if you're gonna use a black, you want it to actually be black, right? So no complaints. However, I'm a little concerned about putting straight up black in a lot of these places. It might wash out the red. So I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do in some of these places. Maybe just a really tiny line of black. So let's just do a line down here and see what it looks like. Because this stuff is some powerful, powerful color. It's like when you get a black eyeshadow that's exactly good for the first time after patchy, unpigmented ones, and you're like, oh, raccoon, good, yes, exactly. All right, so I can get away with putting the black down straight on there because it's very pigmented, but I got scared because of how small of an area I was trying to work with. For something like this, I can actually work with it straight on like that. It's pretty pigmented, it's very intense, but it's not impossible to work with. I wish I had left a little bit more space for me to add a softening edge right here. But let's do it anyway. I want to soften up this edge. A little bit of water. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do the front of her top. I can do that right now as well. 10 minutes? No, I can go till 8. Keeman, welcome to the stream. Okay, let's see. Actually, I'm gonna do a little bit more here. I want this part right in here at the underside of her boob to have a little bit more shadow in it for obvious reasons. Dan is amazing. Yes, he got home from work and then started on dinner. So, well, he did his workout and then started on dinner. So, he's an angel. I do actually cook sometimes, people. Okay, so I want it to be a light gray here. So I'm just pulling some of the black that I've got. But I don't really want this part to be white. I want some of the edges to be white. So I'm just gonna bring in a little bit of shadow right here. But then otherwise they're gonna be highlight pop areas. I might make the back here a little bit darker. I was scared, so my first try right there is a little bit timid. So now I'm gonna do her little neck choker piece, and because of this, the side that we are looking at here, her neck piece that we're seeing, or her choker, is black. Stephen Gabriel, hello and thank you for the follow. Lies. I do, Kylie, I swear. I will be offering this probably to my email list. So subscribe to my email list, and that's how you can get some of these one-off sketches that I do. All right, what was I doing? I was doing this. All right, so I would say that I'm getting far more comfortable with these brushes, and they are the bomb. I was a little on the fence at the beginning, but yeah, holy shit, they are so fun to work with. I think anyone who's interested in watercolor, or even if you're not, and you just like quick, easy, fast blending, get yourself a cup of water and these markers and you are GTG. She's offering it to Kylie. Kylie, it's so sweet that you like this one, and thank you for the suggestion of which Harley to do. I'm super happy that I went with this one. Yay! Yeah, I mean, there's just no compare with how easy these are to work with and how quickly you can blend. I mean, all you have to do is frickin' add some water. It's awesome. Yes, they would be very good for commissions instead of bringing my like gigantic ass Copic set for sure. The only catch with these things when it comes to commissions is that most people, okay, I shouldn't do such a sweeping generalization, but for the most part, blanks are king when it comes to commissions. Blanks are, you know, the comic book sketch covers. So I just refer to them as blanks. All right, those are the commission kings of the universe when it comes to convention sketches. Convention sketches are 99.9% of the commissions that I do. They do not take watercolor at all. And they're not watercolor paper. So that makes deciding to switch over to these exclusively, which I would make that decision in a heartbeat, I can't really do because of the paper that I have to work on. You know what? I don't know, Kylie. That is a very good question. I should look it up. But just from seeing this and how little ink I have to put down, they're gonna last you a super freaking long time. I mean, you can fill a whole area so fast. I don't see any need for a replacement. Like for me and my amount of use, which I could definitely put these to some heavy use, I don't see myself replacing them or needing to replace them for years, because of the how little you need. So I watered down some black in my little palette right here just to darken up some of her outlines. Oh, you're amazing. Thank you, Juan. Kylie, I've tried watercolor on blanks before. It's doable, but you stand to hurt the grade of the book, and the grade of the book is like also God. So like for CGC, for instance, like I can't touch that side of the page. I feel extremely difficult for anybody who is left-handed. I feel extremely sorry for anyone who is left-handed when it comes to working with blanks, because how are you supposed to draw when your hand's on this side? At least I've got it easier because I'm right-handed. Now, I wish I was left-handed for so many other reasons, but for blanks, it's extremely difficult. Okay, look, I'm getting fingerprints everywhere. Damn it. But yeah, it's a tricky thing because it warps the paper real bad. All right, so I'm gonna ink in her nose, which is still blank. Okay. So I'm just using one brush, and I've added in some of the cool gray and I'm mixing it with a little bit of water. And I'm gonna ink her nose. I like to keep the lines on Harley's face pretty light and minimal, just because I feel it works a little better with her super light skin. All right, and then I'm going to, actually I still have some black here. So I'm just adding I touch it with a damp brush and it reactivates. And I'm gonna put some faux ink lines here on her face. Let's get her lips. So that didn't turn out exactly how I wanted to. It started blending instead of inking, so I just blended that out a little bit. All right. Wayne, you're back. Really? So you have to work within that. That's so rough. I'm so sorry, Mr. E. All right, so now I'm gonna work on the black side of her hair, and then I will work on the red side, and then I'm done. Woo! Super simple. Okay, and then I'm gonna get a thinner line just for the outer part of her eye right there. And then I'll put some highlights on it in just a minute. Darken up a little bit in her eyebrows just so that they've got a little bit of texture. There we go. You gotta do 500 kettlebell swings before purchasing this. LOL! Kettle chips. Oh, that's great. I am testing out these new markers that I received. They are called Karin Brushmarker PROs, and they are watercolor markers. So I am just trying them out, figuring out how to use them. It's been a learning experience, but they are really awesome. I'm a convert now. All right, so this is the scary part. But I think I'm gonna go straight up with the marker first and then just blend it out and add some shading once I've got the black color in. No, thanks, Steve. All right, so I want to keep this a little bit lighter, and I'm not going to take the black right up to her face. I think that that would not work out too well. So I'm just going to be a little bit gentle and cautious. Treat the black with respect. And just make it like a light gray back here by her eyes. And then, yeah, I'm just going to blend it out pretty gently. I mean, it is still black. This is a pretty heavily saturated color and a very strong marker. So, clearly it is going to start getting quite dark, but I'm just gonna take it easy with it too. It's easy to add more, it's very difficult to take it off. Thank you, Fox. That is very kind of you. I'm certainly figuring some things out by trial and error, but that really means a lot. Okay, so I'm just leaving a nice sharp shine there. I may put some shine in there, but also I want to just kind of drop it back into the background. So I may do that, I may not. Like, I don't want it to be super strong and clear. I want her to be the focal point, and then her hair just kind of drops back. So I'll see. Once this dries a little bit more, maybe I'll add in a bit more black down here in a couple places, but then also just let it breathe. I'm just gonna mess that up a little bit. Okay. And let's get a little bit of mess going on. So I'm gonna get some black right here. And I just want to add a few little splatter marks over here while it's all still wet to just really help that part. Okay, I just am going to cover her skin really quickly. Okay. You guess I won't be coming to the European TwitchCon. No, I've actually never been to a TwitchCon at all. Oh, you tried the graphic ones. Oh, that's great. Oh, wait. Are they Graph It or Graphics? Thank you, Kylie. Graphics. Oh, okay, I don't know which ones those are. I hope you enjoy them, Keeman. All right, so I'm doing this while this is still wet because I want a little bit more of a gradient shine right here. And it kind of draws the your eye to her eye. There we go. And then some splatters on that side. Now it's time to do the red side. And technically, I should probably try to erase that little black dot. Okay. What's my favorite bit? Okay, I can't touch over here yet, so I'm gonna have to leave this part of her hair, but I can start in on this part. So I'm almost done here. Thank you. The black dot is her soul gem. Oh, the reds. Yes, I love the red parts. It's my happy place. Magenta red is what I'm using. So they don't have like an actual red, but you know what? If I layer this on enough times, it actually works. Okay. I'm not giving her the bangs in front of her face. I'm just gonna leave it this time and not mess around. So now I'm just gonna get and then this right here is just her hair in the back behind her ear. Goes to the back of her neck, like to the nape of her neck. So I'm kind of coloring this like I would a quick sketch scribble, just worse. But I'm just filling in some of the color where I want it. And then I know I'll have enough color on there to do whatever little splattery thingies I want to do. There we go. Just gonna fill that in. Yes, always, Wayne. That's where I always have issues. Because this is her outfit, Arturia. So I'm doing an actual version of Harley. She's the Harley's Little Black Book version. So it's sort of preset what her hair and outfit are. Ooh, I kind of like that. Okay, so that part I'm gonna leave for a few minutes. Let me just get a little bit more, a couple little hairs. Something that makes it a little bit more clear that that's just the back of her neck. I think that I'm gonna need to do, I don't know what, something so that her face color stands out a little bit more. It's true, I do need to go, but you know what? I want to finish this. I'm so close. I'm just gonna power through. I think that's dry enough that I can add this in. You just carb loaded, nice. So the red is not as heavily pigmented as the black, so I am filling in a bit more of the color. I'm like looking everywhere for the lid and it's in my hand. I am overtime, that's right. Okay, maybe I'm gonna do some red splatters right up at the top there. So there's black splatters down here, I'll do some red splatters up there. Oh, thank you, Wayne, thank you so much. All right, let's get some red all up there at the top, and then this one's done. I may darken the lines around her face a little bit, but I can't do that now anyway because over here is still wet. So I'm gonna have to just wait. Have some patience. Again, I'm just stealing a little bit of color here. I want to get some bigger, more saturated ones. There we go. We done! And it is time for me to leave now. Guys, this has been so much fun. So again, I used the Karin Brushmarkers. I did get given these as a gift. They sponsored the ones for the Christmas contest and sent me a set so that I could try them out. So I did get given these, but then, you know, my opinions and stuff are my own. I wasn't even asked to give a review or anything, so yay. The first try, I was still getting the hang of it. I was on the fence. This went so quickly. It would have taken me much longer with Copic markers. So, and you know, they're a completely different tool. So it's not like I'm trying to pit these against Copic marker. It's just, you know, my basis of comparison. I love them. I am a huge fan. These are fantastic and they make sketching so much quicker and they're very easy to work with. So, happiness. Thank you so much for hanging out, you guys. It has been so fun. Hello, Rogerio. Hello to everyone who could make it. Thank you so much for the new follows. If you haven't seen already, Angela is the print of the month. And she's been requested a lot, so you don't want to miss out. She will be expiring off of my website on January 31st. So you don't want to miss it. All right, if you haven't subscribed already to my email list, do it. And I will be probably offering these sketches. First dibs goes to my email list. So I love you guys. Happy 2020. I hope you had a wonderful new year. And here's to the first of many live streams for 2020. So much love, hugs, and kisses to all of you. Thank you for joining in today as we tried out something new. Yeah, I'm sorry, I need to update MooBot. It's still on last month's print. Bye guys, thank you again. Take care, and I'll see you Sunday for another live stream.